Hello and welcome to what will probably be the final part of Pyre. Let's get on with it. Everything is on fire in Pyre.
Foolish reader.
Wow, thanks.
Your so-called friends. You are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
I never planned for it. Freedom isn't for me. By dawn you are already up and about. After a troubled slumber, the black wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the fall of Salayim. No one speaks. We gotta travel all the way because this is the first place as well. As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Reader, a certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstance. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind it very much if I were to play this song for the Nightwings? The lone minstrel wishes to play his ballad by your leave. By all means, a song from the lone minstrel may help lift the spirits of your companions at this vital time. You urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you may hear it. He begins without another word. Oh, this is the trailer song. Oh my lord. I'm not even gonna rush through this.
Strength may break our own, but twisted make upgrade. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be made.
Something appears different now about the sacred mountain west of here. Lands near Emperor's Ascent and Emperor's Fall appear sheen. On the other hand, the once precarious regions below, which you know as Temple High Road and Temple Cistern, seem swept clean by the elements. The lone minstrel observes all this alongside you. Inclement weather we have lately seen, reader sir. We ought to be able to make landing closer to Tribe's Gate now. Then I suppose this means we all shall see Celeste once more. Then I shall go tell everyone to prepare for landing. He touched down amid the quiet solitude of Mount Eladil to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain to carry out their sentences here in the downside for the remainder of their lives. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are part of shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. That was my phone, ignore that. Seek the cursed scribe's favour. After having landed, you joined Bay on her expedition to the monument of Jumur Mainemain for what is like to be the final time. Glory to the 8 scribes. For you have chosen me to be a witness to the ending of the cycle of the rites. We have followed on your path, and in your path, and now we arrived upon the site of which the cycle first began. Always have we done our utmost to honour you, and honour traditions you described within the sacred book, which one day I should like to read for myself. Whatever shall transpire in the coming nights, it is your will and I shall accept it, even as I strive with all my heart for all my friends. Soon she is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Jumur Mainemain has shown you favour. At dawn, you shall begin your last descent. For now, your vacations may occupy what little time you have left to spare. 2 presents for the next rite. Let's mentor someone for the last time. That 1,000 won't help. Actually, mentoring wasn't a good idea. I won't get anyone. I won't get anyone upper rank. So, fuck me, I guess. Let us then discuss these matters which you believe should be of benefit. Just change my voice there. You and Bert should go over what you know of the celestial landmarks you have been to, and how their properties impact the Nightwings and the Rights. You can tell she knows many of them well by now. Not enough. Well, I'm glad I did this. These landmarks strewn about these cursed lands. Too many are too dry upon the flesh. Scribe's Gate. For the final time. It is said the scribes themselves keep watch over your Scribe's Gate. Only the worthy may pass through the gate. Here in the great heights of Mount Anadil, you encounter a messenger imp sent to deliver you the latest news and rumors from the other side. How's he? You learn this imp was personally sent by Volfred himself to fill you in on the latest happenings with him since he was liberated at the fall of Saliam. On arriving in the Commonwealth, he was taken in with open arms and soon offered a seat among the Justices of Peace, a branch of the Commonwealth's governing body and widely considered the most influential. It is they who pass sentencing onto those who transgress against their country and its people. He admits that he was quite taken back by everything at first, but he of course refused, stating his belief that the traditions of the Commonwealth have been corrupted over the many years. Such remarks put him in great danger. In the next moment, however, he was whisked to secrecy and safety by his sons and daughters of the revolution in a daring raid. The Commonwealth claims he perished in the brazen act. Now, Volfred continues his work to find a way to bring home all the rest of you, and to transform the Commonwealth according with his plan, which is out 91%. He closes with a message to you all. Have faith, we shall prevail together in the end. You thank the imp for bringing you these news, which gets all your companions talking. Unsurprising. For all our years, we know him for a stubborn sort. His will cannot be shaken. Is he really gonna get us, the rest of us, out of here, I wonder? And even if he does, what are we coming back to? The scribes are guiding him. They're on his side. I know they are, because they told me so. I heard them just now. I just know. May the scribes keep watching over you wherever you may go, sir. Even in the rites themselves they shall cease, ere your plan is achieved in full. The news of Volfred's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with resolve. The messenger imp accepts a small bite from you to eat and hurries away. Your companions gain one hope for the next rite. Wish Volfred luck. You stand before the scribe's gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there, as ever, but you sense something different in her. The exiles are the Nightwings. We shall not meet again after the coming raid. Tarek and I, it shall be time we take our rest, I think. Greetings, Celeste. I will tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I am uncertain among anyone amongst us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tarek. And then what, Celeste? And then nothing. Not for the Rights or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwings, step forward. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their step. May I speak first? My name is Bay, and I am here because the scribes, this is the path that they have shown me, and all of us. I like it when they call to me. We are called Big Bertrude. We seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go about our business. Rookie Greentail's my name. Remember me? Look, I just want to get out of here with all my chums and go see my mama back at home, long as she knows I'm alright. Finally, you step forth once more. You, a crippled scholar who vowed to help his friends be free again, and who managed to come this far with this group. The gate guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway toward the summit. The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Except for you, Tarek, you stay there. I thought you said. The rites are not yet ended, Tarek. He looks to her, then over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. The gate guardian and the lone minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. You have gained the summit of Mount Aldale for the 7th time, the final time in which any of you shall have a chance to leave the downside. Hey guys, I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hadn't been the same, you know, with all the stars fading out and stuff. Anyway, just want to say you guys are great, and I guess I'm gonna miss you guys on the customers of all of that. But I got great news too. All of my stars is on sale now. I'll throw in a little extra there just for you, okay? So enjoy, and maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay? Henceforth, all of Falcon Run stuff are 5% off. Great. Thanks, Falcon Run. Have this. All of my trinkets. I need to use them. If I sell them, I can get what I need to get the final person free. I think it has to be done. I can get them free this way. Trinkets are less important than one more friend's freedom. Well, I'm ready. Let's hope that they will be as well. Pleasure was all mine. And Dad's, you guys. No one's doing the dishes still. Commence the final liberation. You have gained the summit of Mount Aldale for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. The lone minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there, perhaps some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not have a chance to speak again after this. I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance. I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then he looks up and extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Bertrude has joined you. All your companions are with her, in fact. Reading one, thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. Oh, hi mister. The others, they said they wanted me to join them and come talk to you. So, here I am. The scribes are watching us. You got this, chum. You got us this far. No way this is any tougher than what it took to get here. You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions, with whom you have withstood the downside, and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. You shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Wolfrich's plan, the plan with which you all have been a part, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against the final adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. The final liberation of this age shall now commence. We shall reunite someday. We just want to win. Having come this far, you need but take the final steps upon your quest for freedom.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days. In that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down.
That's not cool.
The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn, and each of the triumphants is present and prepared. But before the lone minstrel can concur, as per the custom, not another word. The demon Oralek slowly raises his clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me. Then I was cheated of it. Here, upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment, silent, then Oralek dons his mask and stands prepared. May these damned rites cease forever, for the misery which they caused. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of rites is all but ended. Thus, I would have your decision. On whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite? The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Oralek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with glory. Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. It's time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside till the end of your days. One by one, you meet the gazes of each of your fellow exiles. Bertrude, Bay, Rookie, your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends. Together you have come this far, but now the downside and the rites conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. It seems both cruel and unfair to have to make such a decision. Is there no other way? Are you prepared to choose this one last time? Yes, for there is no turning back. The fate of your friends and the Commonwealth may hinge on the decision you are about to make. With but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too bad for the rest of you.
Shut up, man. You do good up there, Rookie. Gonna miss you for sure.
Rookie.
Whoa, wait, you serious, chum? No, I won't get my hopes up here just yet. I mean, that Oralek, he ain't gonna make it this easy, is he? Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Rookie as well as you.
Who shall stand with him?
Who do you think?
Bay.
Blessed are the scribes who grant to me all of us this final chance, that we might free our dear friend Rookie.
Bertrude.
Thy will is ours, reading one. Let the remaining stars shed their last light upon our ceremony here.
The choice is cast.
Those are to be my adversaries then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts his will over that group? You sense Oralek searching for you, almost reaching out to you. You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you who would relinquish your own liberty for the sake of them. Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. Then, Oralek stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same. By the light of dawn, the cycle of the rite shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tarek! I am prepared, Celeste. Then, let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste, let us make sure of it.
final chance at liberation for the age.
Ah. The sky rains ash, soon shall your pyres own mingle with them. Just then, the skies above begin to rain down fire, the final throes of the cycle of rites and the ending of the age. What the f- Oh god. Crap. Oh my god. Oh my god, come on. Oh my god. Whew, come on. We got this. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That ought to wake you up. The Nightwing's adversaries gained an edge. How very sad for the true Nightwings. Oh my word.
So this horse Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. I think you deserve your freedom more than I. You think. Then fight for it, damn you.
How he has changed, that Warlick. Grown old and bitter lo these many years. My scribes.
One more. One more. Let's go. Orlick stands, breathing heavily. He looks back at the thin lick of flame that is his smouldering pyre before turning his attention back to your triumvirate.
The orb.
Okay, we did it. We did it.
The Nightwings proved their worth. Their adversaries they defeated utterly. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus, The scribes have chosen.
Woohoo! We did it! We did it! I can't believe it. I mean, that's not to say I didn't think we could, but wow, we really did it! Rookie, you do good up there. You look upon Rookie for what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now, the shimmering pool shall engulf him. Any moment now, he shall return to glory and join with Volfred's agents in the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. I believe in you, Rookie. Any moment now, the cycle of the right shall end, until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now. What?
And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes
Don't.
have chosen.
Oh no, please.
And thus, the scribes have chosen.
Rookie needs to be able to go back, please.
No,
Fuck!
Nightwings. Reader, what have you done?
And this was all pointless. Fuck. This is getting a little awkward here. What's the hold up, huh? Each prior time upon the fall of Soliam, the Shimmering Pool is opened, following the liberation rite and taking in whoever exile prevailed. But now, all is still. The light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late, that the Shimmering Pool shall never reveal itself again. Damn it. Orlek approaches, his head bowed. The 8 scribes saved their greatest treachery for last. Well, ass. Then something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmering Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. It's very red. Rookie look upon it, but it does not engulf him, or at least not yet. It seems I am mistaken then. The 8 scribes. This is not their greatest treachery, it is their greatest jest. The Shimmering Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Wait, what? Can we just all leave? Orlek strides towards the Shimmering Pool, but... Halt, Orlek. Orlek glances over the lone minstrels, almost in surprise. The Shimmering Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside, and he shall surely drown, of that I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this. Then we have all been cheated. No, the Shimmering Pool is revealed and one of you may still return as planned. But, as for who returns, someone shall have to choose, ere the last light of the stars is extinguished and the rites cease to be. This is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes. Then, our confrontation, the liberation rite, it all was meaningless. No, the victor of the confrontation is to be the one to make the choice. Among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or he who anointed them. Wait, I get to choose? So then it's either me or my chum over there. Aye, it shall be either you, the reader, or... It shall be either or. Rookie, please make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeited. I do not know how much longer the light of the star shall offer you this gift. Well, alright, okay. I think I got it. I made up my mind. Got some good news and some bad news, chum. The good news is you're getting out of here. The bad news is no time for long goodbyes. Rookie, no. Rookie, no! Rookie wishes to give up his freedom so that you may regain yours. But Rookie knows. Rookie knows that I can't leave. He was the first one to know that I would never be able to leave the downside. And now, given the rules that are presented to us, he wants to give up his freedom so that I can go free. Very well. Reader sir, the choice which Rookie made, or rather the choice which he gave, it is now yours to make instead. What? This choice, it may keep bouncing back and forth like this. Absurd. It may, until such time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and the outcome of the choice. That is the trial, and I fear that there is not little time remaining now. Frida, if you and your companion are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, then I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought be more than some flirtatious, trivial trifle to exchange. I can't fucking talk. Rita, what is your will? Your intention this night was for him to return to glory, and it shall be done. This is your chance, and Ruki wished that you should take it. He earned his rightful freedom long ago. He deserves his justice. We all deserve this. Actually, I don't deserve it. I'm worried this is a trick. I'm worried that if because the 8 scribes only allow one of each, but there was never any text to show that someone who, the text said that someone who does not conduct the rites cannot go free, so I can't go free. Ruki, I think we're being tricked. This spot belongs to you, Ruki. I think. Someone who conducts the rites cannot go free. Or I like deserve the spot, but I anointed Ruki. So the most... It has to be Ruki. Ruki, this is your spot, man. You go say hi to your ma for me. And you have fun with fucking Hedwyn. And fucking Jodariel. Meet them again. Be good to each other. Stay strong. You have decided. You have chosen Ruki. He looks at you with some astonishment. Ruki, sir, do you accept the reader's choice, or shall you make another? Sure, yes. Ruki Greentail, hereby doth accept. Don't have to ask me twice there, chum. See ya, chum. Then it is done. You see a look of genuine surprise flash across Ruki's face, and then he is gone. He gave a chance at freedom so that Ruki may yet have his. Ruki is set to return to the Commonwealth and leave the downside forever. May he return in fucking glory. Godspeed, Ruki Greentail.
By the scribes, no stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us? Nightwings, the opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside, was it not enough?
That night, the exiled Ruki returned to the Commonwealth. He was to be the last. The stars had faded, and the cycle of the rites had run its course. He found the Commonwealth in great upheaval. Spurred by the efforts of 6 liberated exiles, Volfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles and the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The people surged to the streets, shoulder to shoulder. Led by the 6 exiles, their voice shook the heavens. The leadership of the Commonwealth panicked. No blood was shed that night, and by dawn it was over. The leaders of the Commonwealth had cast themselves back into exile or joined in this new cause. Thus, in their 838th year, Words! The Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile, and they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we still remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not. Oh. After the final liberation rite, Lendl refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night, staring into the blackness of the sky, awaiting any sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express concern for him. Survival had become their top priority since liberty had slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted, rather forcefully, that any evening now, the stars would shine for him again, and mark the way towards an inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his triumvirate were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have been sightings of a bedrangled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives. Turned to a demon. Oh god. After the cycle of rites had ceased, Witch Udmalti, who I only saw once or twice, returned to the Flagging Hands region where she shielded herself within the pit of Mylith. There, even her fellow exiles of the Withdrawn allegedly grew unnerved after a time and left her to her vile work. Sometime later, the pit of Mylith erupted into flame. So intense was the conflagration that it could be seen all the way from Jameer Valley. Arson was suspected, though the cause was never verified, and many bog dwellers in the region were forced to flee. A tempest blowing from the north finally quenched the flames. When at last the ashes settled, the ground had cooled, and the site of the fire was scarred beyond recognition. No trace of Witch Udmalti could be found. Everyone's dying in the downside. As for the contents of the pit Mylith, which noticeably included a profane object thought to be the remains of Yaslach, all of it was gone as well. Back in the Saurian Union, Udmalti's repeated threats of the return of Slach were thoroughly investigated, and no credence was found to any of her claims. When Manly Tinderstout realised the rite had ended, and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth through his ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribe, screaming forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all of his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side with a messenger imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. He tried an imp craft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it is gone. Tinderstout bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin, to Cinderroot. There he yet wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side. Once it became clear to Ignarius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Tempest to call it quits. At first he and the Tempest decided to celebrate, and that they did for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life, sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. However, he sometimes thought about the one he called Curly Horns, and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at that time. Good for him, man. Just do what you can. The rites were not very kind to us, were they? Throughout her exile, Tamitha Thane was motivated by a single goal: to return to the Commonwealth and exact vengeance on her ancient enemies. When she realised the rites had ended and that she would never see her mountain home again, she nevertheless remained determined to aid her people however possible. She had gathered certain information pertaining to the intentions of the Nightwings, who had formed a pact to regroup on the other side after their liberation. Other such reports exposed certain weaknesses in the Commonwealth defences and revealed to the hiring remnants an opportunity for a risky but potentially impactful strike. As Tamitha could not participate in the assault, she learned what happened well after the outcome. On that night, known as Scribe's Return, inspired by the liberated exiles, the people of the Commonwealth demanded new leadership. Cast yourselves down, chant from the Scribe's Return. The Commonwealth had fallen, the hiring remnants thus prevailed at last, without even having to fight. Soon after the fall of Commonwealth, Tamitha learned her blood sister Pamitha was an accessory to the successful outcome. Tamitha was very skeptical of this, but as similar reports kept mounting, she soon accepted the prevailing opinion, however grudgingly. Once a messenger imp arrived bearing some sort of message seemingly for Pamitha, however, Tamitha turned it away. She would not give in to an impulse to forgive. Knowing that the conflict on the other side had ended, Tamitha retreated to the crags of Black Basin and grew ever more distant. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted to any such weakness. I'm sorry, Tamitha. All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border of the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up in the ancient test were crestfallen, as their last chances to return to their homes vanished, along the stars above. But Deluge did not mind, for this outcome meant that at last there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. While most of his exiles to the Pyre huts yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses toward conflict, Deluge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, one Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason. Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of Wine Gulf, which may explain the significant increase in wine population observed in the vicinity. Okay. Good for you, man. Barker Ashpaws never had interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for he always found its sly laws to be stifling, so when the rites ended he did not care at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he had always needed, and missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His packmates, the dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Jomir Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had never heard of it at all, started to take an interest, and ended up giving Barker Ashpaws some healthy competition. His old feud with Rookie Retail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led a directionless existence to this point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time, or more, was oft debated by those who watched him work. As the cycle of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance of freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalbert and Alma Oldheart's grasp. Thus, they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Jomir Valley. There, they struggled to get by, as exiles of the downside tend to do. Sometime after the rites had ended, the Oldhearts had last heard the news that Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalbert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalbert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep before the next new moon. Rest in peace, Dalbert. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Alma never shared his father's view of the scribes, but respected Dalbert's wishes, and so, after a period of mourning, Alma began a new journey. One day during his travels, he ran almost headlong into another exile after paying homage to Spring of Jomir. He was stunned to find it was none other than the one he knew as Bay. from their days as adversaries in the rites. Bay was overjoyed to see him, though Alma was unable to bring herself to understand why. Eventually, of course, he did, and they remained together, growing ever more accustomed to their new lives in the downside. Not a day went by that Alma Goldheart did not think about his father, and give thanks to him and speak to him at morning and at night. Would that the stars yet shone, for surely Dalbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son, and watching him, over him and his kin. Good luck with that, Alma. After the swimming pool closed for what would be the last time, Oralek looked around him in the flickering light of the Nightwing's still burning pyre. He then turned to the Fall of Salayim and looked up toward the black starless sky. He cursed the 8 scribes, then one after the other. After that, he strode forward towards the waters coursing from the sound of Mount Aladil, and, without hesitating, he cast himself down. Oralek's body was never recovered. The drop of Mount Aladil does not appear survivable, though Oralek did survive it once. That time, however, he was filled with fury. Such was the betrayal he had suffered when his fellow exile claimed his rightful freedom. This time, Oralek was filled with nothingness, and chose to leave the downside in the one way he still knew he could. The other Nightwings who were to witness this never forgot what they saw. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Blackwinging and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Aladil with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tarek nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all of this through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of Saurian Union and merely were imbued with the weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated with each other's claims at having met their steward that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggested these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs described another simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favour of a life that they could share together. In any case, they were like to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. With the rites drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Vulcan Rhine was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of entrepreneurial leaning, this time of hardship led to epiphany, or at least a sudden change of fortune. One day, Falcon Run had a run-in with the messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave it to one of his remaining trinkets which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him, bearing his tidy sum of wealth in newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falcon Run cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a grey area from a legal standpoint in the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falcon Run's good to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Bertrudes and found a distribution partner on the other side through Garuki Greentail, whose own business had expanded. Especially in the Saurian Union, Falcon Run's goods were still known for their superior quality, though he assumed no liability for any side effects. Several exiles and Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. Oh god, been reading for so long. She had found a suitable environment to live, within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to preoccupations, working away almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. Though they were very far apart now, she sought out news as to his whereabouts and found his action in the Saurian Union a rare source of inspiration. By and large, Bertrude kept focusing on her work. Whether casting spawn enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside, there was a real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more of a living legend. Good luck, Big Bertrude. Long after the rites had ended, Bay admitted that she knew very well before the fact she would not be going home again. At least she had a very strong feeling. She ended up not minding very much because she had little to return to in the Commonwealth. Her sense of home had changed. She took to wandering from one celestial landmark to the next, ever paying homage to the 8 scribes whom she believed had influenced all that transpired. She was no stranger to travelling alone, but she was always happy to have company. Through it all, she would wonder how her little friend Tizo had fared. While they were divided now by a great distance, he always remained in her heart. Though they could not see each other any longer, Bay often thought of Jodariel and spoke to her as though she were there. Bay never tried to make a decision without first consulting her idea of what Mr. Jodariel might say. Whenever she felt genuine doubt, which was not very often, she sought the reader of the Nightwings. Me. If there was anyone whom she trusted as much as the scribes, it was him. One day she encountered one of her former adversaries, one called Alma Oldheart, who had served the Fate. She remembered him much more than he did her, though only just at first. Their shared experience in the rites and their different points of view about the scribes formed the basis of what grew to be a long-lasting relationship. Bay was always devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Her gentle manner and unwavering conviction often helped them brave life in the downside, both with courage and with grace. Let's do it in order. Jodariel, what's up? After her liberation, Jodariel soon became an icon of movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her horns and stern countenance inspired the people to believe that she was Solium Mer, reborn, and became a great and if reluctant leader. In the uncertain times that followed, Jodariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in the matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many times. Good. She often had to stop herself from fearing for Bay, whom she tried to look after as much as possible on the downside. Soon, she would reassure herself that Bay was very capable of surviving on her own, and in fact she was not mistaken. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness for the most part. After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of Commonwealth, and was vital to the outcome of the plan. Good for you, Hedwyn. Thank you. The peaceful outcome of the scribe's return was attributed to the several key factors. One of them was the underlying ambition of the plan itself. Another was Hedwyn's visibility among the people in the streets. Identified to be a liberated exile, he was believed to be Golgothan reborn. More importantly, however, was the one of the winged harps of the High-Wing remnants accompanied him. She was later identified as Fakani Shang, a harp whom Hedwyn cared deeply. They were separated when Hedwyn was exiled. Their bond was symbolic of what was at stake at night, and proved vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as a leader of the Saurian Union, Hedwyn often confided in his friend Jodariel. Despite her intense manner, there was no one whom he trusted more in times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he pledged to Jodariel, Rookie Greentail, and the reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for in the end, not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt over this darkened his mood for a time. Don't be sad, Hedwyn. I was never made out to be able to return. However, the others whom he still knew lifted his spirits, much like he had often lifted theirs. All of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not able to remain in contact thus, Headman thought of each of them often, and so in turn did they oft think of him. Who was next? I don't remember. Oh wait. I didn't even realise you were there. After the cycle of rites returning, records of what happened to the Black Widow and the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the night cells of the Nightwings who remained at the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as a place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there was no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites, or the Beyond the Crystal, said to be haunted by apparition Sandra the Unseeing. One possibility is that the lone minstrel took his leave and took the Beyond the Crystal with him, for he was thus obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Woman itself should have been taken also. Others remain skeptical that the Beyond the Crystal ever existed, or rather that the visions that it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object in which the Sister's Arch had been expelled for more than 800 years, then the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it might have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyond the Crystal remain unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claim to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear. The imp called Tizo was the first of his kind to achieve liberty through the rites, the only one of his kind in the Commonwealth. While he was not the only imp trained in the way of the scribes, imps are natives to the downside and thus care not for travelling abroad. This made them useful to triumvirants. Yet Tizo had a different calling, and the Nightwings believed that he too could play a key part in Volfred Sandalwood's plan. During the night of Scribe's return, he stood out to be populace as something of a miracle. They had only heard of downside imps before from legends of Howard the Swallow. Afterwards he became something of an icon, and they made plushies of him and sold millions, and Disney was born, representing both the fall of Commonwealth and the beginning of a new era. Sandalwood sometimes called for his assistance, and Tizo was always happy to oblige. The two would often reminisce about their times with the lone minstrel. Tizo often missed his interactions with the reader of the Nightwings. They had quickly built quite a rapport back in the downside, and Tizo would often express wistful gratitude for all the time conducting the rites alongside the Nightwings, who made such sacrifices for him. Other than that, Tizo was diligent about his role as something of a living artifact, and helped interpret for the messenger imps that relayed news to and from the downside. Despite having gained significant celebrity, he never let it go to his head. Nice on Tizo, although he did take full advantage of his access to the Saurian Union's fishing industry. When the Wyam Gilman returned to the Commonwealth, he believed that he had regained something even more important than his freedom, his honour. Gilman relinquished his knighthood and declined an opportunity to serve as a captain on Bloodborder. He was not interested in fighting any longer. Yet, as it sometimes is the case with those such as he, a circumstance soon came about in which there came a need for him to once again make use of his military training. Thankfully, however, the scribe's return ended peacefully. Gilman was on edge throughout the night, expecting violence to erupt at any moment, but the moment never came. When the moment was at last put to rest, then Gilman truly knew his time as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some sort of extraordinary set of circumstance, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend Rookie Greentail. He was always grateful for having studied under the reader of the Nightwings, without whom he would never have completed his penance. Because of this, and perhaps because they were on opposite sides of the world now, Gilman dedicated his life to him. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive leadership was a first step towards gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high up enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily training regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honour was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself to be renewed every day. When Volfred Sandalwood regained his freedom, he knew that his work had only just begun. The nation that had exiled him to life in the downside now prepared to honour him, but he was not interested in such ceremony, nor in the freedom on the Commonwealth's own terms. He soon rejoined his agents, with whom he had coordinating for years, slowly, carefully, preparing for a night that soon would come. For Sandalwood and his loyalists and sympathizers, true freedom was at stake, not just theirs, but that of everyone living under the Commonwealth. He hoped to gather liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes' return, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites having ended sooner than expected, this optimal scenario became impossible. But Sandalwood did not relent, and prepared to execute his plan, imperfect though it was. On the night of Scribe's return, he stood as one of the 6 former exiles of the Nightwings, and their voices echoed together throughout the streets. These former exiles, who ought to have disappeared into the ranks of the Commonwealth's own leadership, now stood united with its people, who poured from their homes in solidarity. Solidarity. God, that word. It was imperative to Sandalwood that the stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature. An overwhelming show of popular support would be more than enough. Ensuring this was his priority at night, and in the end, the result was self-evident. The plan's goal had been achieved. Sandalwood's work was far from over. Still, he laboured ceaselessly with representatives from across the population to restore a sense of stability. This transitional period had its troubles, though. None of it was quickly resolved. Such was the will and the spirit of the people. They understood their freedom carried new responsibility. After the Saurian Union was born the next year, Sandalwood was elected as the nation's first Prime Minister. It was not his intent to run for this office, but the people chose him anyway. He led our fledgling nation through its nascent years. One of his allies in all this was his imp Tizo, with whom he travelled all along the downside. Sandalwood often cited Tizo as the wellspring of his enthusiasm for a brighter future. Such was the creature's spirit. As Volfred Sandalwood gained even more fame throughout this land for all of his sacrifices and his contributions, he remained ever steadfast about 2 things. The first was the cause itself ought to remain in focus. The freedom that the people had achieved, it was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of Nightwind who had stood with him, each in turn by name. He never forgot any of them. One day on his birthday, the people of Saurian Union presented to him a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as mentioned in their prime. It was since ensured that those of us with memories more valuable than that of Sandalwood, likewise, remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and our cause. After regaining her freedom, Panther Fane found herself in a bit difficult position. Having once betrayed her people in the Highwing Remnants, she knew that she would not be welcome in her native home. She did not trust the Commonwealth either. Instead, she found her place among Volfred Sandalwood's agents, who were busy doing their part to fulfill the plan. As it turned out, the plan was a success. Panther Fane stood shoulder to shoulder with her former fellow exiles, and truly, they were a sight to behold. A disturbing rumour later spread that night. That night, the Highwing Remnants were slated to mount an assault, which for some reason never came to pass. Panther denied any knowledge or involvement. Afterward, Panther played an active part in negotiating terms between the Highwing Remnants and a new nation that would become our Saurian Union. A previous attempt at something of the sort led to her exile. She must have felt some satisfaction to succeed this time round. Sometime later, Panther had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, whom she had spent a fair amount of time with while travelling with the Nightwings. Under these new circumstances, it turned out that the two had more to talk about, and rather more in common. They would often put to the test which one was able to outdrink the other. It is unclear as to which of them prevailed in that contest in the end. One day, Panther received an invitation to return to the Highwing Remnants, which she was to be fully pardoned. She held out a hope that she might see her blood sister, Tamfa, there, knowing full well that Tamfa did not regain her freedom. Tamfa did later learn that Panther was welcomed back by her people. However, she never responded to her blood sister's attempt to contact her. Panther in turn did not expect forgiveness from her at any point. Nevertheless, she kept on trying to reach out. She said to ruffle up her feathers a bit. Later, when asked, Panther Fane admitted she felt as though she had no home to call her own. This was during an interview conducted amid an extensive trip abroad, for she had travelled thousands of leagues beyond the bounds of the Saurian Union. Panther continued to journey thus, citing that it reminded her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as was the tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury and choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given into his better judgment, as he did end up siding with Wolfrid Sandalwood's revolutionary forces, as he promised. On the night of Scribe's return, Greentail was there with the others, inspiring the masses. He never looked prouder, the very image of Jameer Manymane himself. When dawn finally came, it became clear that Commonwealth that everybody knew would be no more, and he realised many new opportunities awaited. He began quite a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing, but the money was too good, and soon his family was well off, as he always said. One of his orders of business was to seek out his old companions, Panther Thane, to whom he had taken a liking during the quest for their freedom. They bonded further over love of drink and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman, ever the perfect practice partner. They were trained together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all of his friends, many friends, and knew that he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he came to know so well during his time in Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. There's one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of him. However, some accounts of him began to paint a picture. We know he was of common birth. Weak-framed, though raised with a penchant for learning. The journey to the downside left him close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found him. They brought him back from the brink. He showed them the path. He pressed onward with the others. He had made a vow to help his friends be free. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, he remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of him diverge. It's said the voice which troubled him, he never heard again. Some say he helped improve the lives of other downside exiles. Though whether that is true, only he knows. Someday, perhaps, that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks. Oh, what an adventure, what a journey. It's cool we got to know what happened to everyone.
The last of the Nightwings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song. Headwind prevailed and strode the path that his heart laid before him. He has found his way home. Dariel, mother to many a foundling, she has found her way home. Rookie Greentail has proved his worth and returned to his family by the grace of the scribes. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end.
The moon-touched girl feels the scribes in the heart of the downside. She remained to the end.
Tizo prevailed, first of his lowly kind, to ascend from the downside. He has found a new home. Sir Gilman the Bold, ever in his quest, finding honor and glory, he has found his way home. Hermit the Thane, having pleased the scribe, seeking only forgiveness.
Is that Hedwin being sick over the vote? Rookie in the background too. And Gilman was there. Darren Korb voiced Rookie. What the hell? And the Lone Minstrel. Awesome. And Maldi, Darren Korb as well.
Alfred prevailed as the night wings guide, having led them to glory. He has found his way home.
The bog dweller Bertrude kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She remained till the end. The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. He remained till the end. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. They follow the stars, bound together. Strands in a braid till the end.
It's a whole family. The whole gang.
As we bid farewell and return to the stars, we shall find our way home. We shall find our way
Rookie's green tail isn't green in that picture. I just realised.
We shall find our way
Books. Hello? Oh, the end. Oh. Oh boy. That was a great game. That was a great game. I very much enjoyed myself. It's really interesting because this is a very, from what I can see, the storyline is very variable because it focuses on the characters rather than a main storyline. So that's why, like, different interactions with different characters, it can have it different that way. So I'm sure that someone else's playthrough would be different from my own. So if you want to try out this game, then I really urge you to do it. It's a really good game. I think Supergiant have really done it again, even though the genre of the game is completely different from what they're used to. But they've fucking knocked it out of the water again. That's what I think. It's great. I love it. I'm gonna stick. Gives me more reason to stick with this company and see what else they have to offer. Probably gonna instantly buy whatever they come up with next. Yeah. It's just a good... It was good. Not all endings have to be like explosive and everything. This is kind of like a very quiet ending where everyone just went back to their lives and anyone that managed to get free is able to happily live out their lives. And even Bay and Bertrude, they managed to happily, or attempt to happily, live their lives out and downside anyway. So yeah. Thanks for sticking with me through this playthrough. I'm gonna hit escape. That just exits. Yeah, thanks for sticking with me in this playthrough, and if you wanna watch more videos, then go right ahead. I'll see you there. Or if you're just here for Pyre, then have a great life. You deserve it. Go get yourself something nice to eat. 'Cause food is great. I'm hungry. See you guys. Boy.